Hello, everyone. This is Abigail Molina with Molina Law Group, where we freeze the fear of ICE by helping immigrants and their families arrive at a place of security and prosperity here in the U.S. So we finally have some breaking news for DACA, and I wanted to come on and do a quick live about it regarding the final regulations that were announced, that were finally published this week. So it's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. I won't get into all of it. I'm going to try and break it down as best I can. We do know it's obviously very clear that the DACA program has been like a little ping pong, bounced back and forth between the courts and the government. And the ping pong are unfortunately the dreamers in the middle, caught in the middle, wanting status, needing status in order to move forward with their lives for school and work. And in the meantime, the government and the courts are just playing this game of ping pong. So the biggest argument against DACA has been that when Obama created the program in 2012, that he did it by executive order. That means that he just used his powers to announce that this program would start. Now, the argument against that is that, well, nobody had time to comment about whether this program would be good for our economy and our country. And the way to do that he should have done it, the right way that he should have done it, is through a regulation. A regulation is just a law for an agency. So instead of telling the USCIS, now you're going to accept these applications, he should have put it through the regulation process. So that's been the main argument against DACA, about why the DACA program should stop. And so in response to that, Biden began the regulation process about a year ago. It's a very long process, which is probably why Obama didn't do it originally. But Biden said, okay, you guys are upset that this wasn't put through the regulation process. Now we're going to do it. So they announced what would be their proposed regulation, what the wording would be, who it would impact, and then they opened it up for a public comment, which is the process that the regulation has to take. So in the last year, it's been going through this long process to become an official regulation. And again, a regulation is just a law for an agency, in this case, USCIS. So Biden did what the biggest complaint against the DACA program has been, is that he turned it from an executive order, just a program announced by Obama, created it into an actual law. So finally, now we've been waiting, and we expected that it would come about in August. And sure enough, now here at the end of August this week, the final regulations were published. So that means 60 days from now, they will go into effect. That's October 31st, 2022. So what does that mean for all of the dreamers? Well, the DACA regulations are essentially the same as the DACA program, the initial original DACA program. So it doesn't expand it like we hoped it might for people who came after 2007 or people who are older now. It didn't expand it at all. There's some minor changes, but basically it stayed the same. They just took a program that didn't originally go through the public comment and the official regulation process, and they did that to it. So now the question is, what will happen now with the court cases that are still ongoing, that have been trying to stop initial applications from being accepted? For the last year now, the case in Texas put a stop to the initial applications. So that injunction, we're wondering now what's going to happen with that case. That case was appealed. It's at the Fifth Circuit now. It could potentially go all the way to the Supreme Court. But again, that main argument against DACA has been, you guys didn't do it right. You should have done a regulation. Well, now that there is a regulation that was announced this week, what's going to happen to that argument? And I was looking at some of the recent court filings this week after those regulations took effect, and they're basically saying, you know what, your guys' argument, you don't have it anymore. There's nothing for you to argue about. We did the whole year's worth of regulation process, and now it's an official law. So now what? That court case is going to have to be resolved. It may end up, like I said, before the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, the DACA program continues to be in question. Even though we have these regulations that will take effect October 31st, the court case could still, that injunction could still stay in place so that the initial application still can't be received, or there might be another case that comes against this regulation. So again, like I started off saying, it's like the dreamers are a ping pong ball and the government and the court system keep passing it back and forth. Why can't we just resolve this once and for all? That's my main question. But we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about what do those regulations mean, and what are we likely to see in the future. So I've been encouraging people to apply for DACA, even though the initial applications are not being processed. I've been encouraging people to file because we do know that it will eventually reopen. For example, this regulation now requires USCIS to start taking applications effective October 31st. So if that case, the federal court case resolves, or the injunction is lifted or something happens, then they'll be able to be processing those applications that they've been holding. They haven't been rejecting these applications, they've just been holding on to them. So there's been now created a list of applicants, and they're going to begin to process those one by one once the program opens. So even though the program is still in question, I believe that there will be, if nothing else, a small window of opportunity for people to get their initial applications approved. Those that have been waiting, I believe that those will begin to get processed and be approved. And so it's important to have your application filed when that happens. If you remember, even a year and a half ago, when the program opened again, it opened for about 6 months, and many people were able to get their applications in, get them processed. But those who delayed or those who didn't file missed out when this court case created the order stopping the program again. So we have a situation with the DACA where you can renew applications and you can do advanced parole, which you can use for a green card later on through marriage or through work, depending on your situation. I recommend that people file, even if they have to wait until the program opens back up, even if it's more than 2 months, depending on what the court case does. I recommend that people file. Don't delay anymore, and take advantage of the fact that this program is going to be back on soon. I want to make it clear, the program, even though the regulations were announced this week, they're still not processing initial applications, but they are not rejecting them either. They've been receiving them and holding them until they're allowed to process them again, which may be as soon as October 31st, depending on what happens in the court system. But don't miss out, because if you're able to get your initial approved, then it doesn't matter what they do with the initial applications. Once you have yours, you can renew it under the current program, the current situation. So just to recap, what happened this week was that the Biden administration finished a year-long process of taking the DACA program, which was an executive order, turning it into a regulation, which is a law, a rule for an agency, in this case, USCIS. That's the main complaint that people have had in the court system. All of the court cases have basically been attacking whether or not Obama had the authority to do this program through executive order, whether it should have been done by regulation. Now Biden has responded to that by creating the regulation. So what will we see? We don't know. I've been shocked and amazed that a program that serves youth, serves those who are seeking to better our country through education and work opportunities, that this has been the group that the Trump government decided to attack, and ever since then has been under attack. So it remains to be seen. Excuse me for a second. I'm doing this live in English, but I'll repeat it in Spanish as well. Isela says, thank you for explaining it better. Thank you. I sometimes wonder if I'm able to explain it better, because it is complicated, it's confusing, but it really just comes down to the fact that what's going to be the future of it depends on how the court system decides to respond to this regulation. And explain it maybe even a little bit further, because some people might say, well, we have Biden, Trump's gone, why are we still having this problem? Well, Trump put a lot of judges in place to that were like on his side, right? That wanted to also end the DACA program. So even though we have Biden in place, there's still a lot of damage that needs to be undone. So we're hopeful that this regulation will begin that healing process of the DACA program. Excuse me, my throat is super dry today. Para explicar en español, porque hemos estado aquí 10 minutos sin hablar español. Estamos platicando de DACA y lo que pasó, lo que sucedió hoy, no hoy, esta semana, fue el miércoles cuando anunciaron la regulación de DACA. Y quisiera explicar qué es una regulación, cómo ha cambiado la situación de DACA y qué puede ser para el futuro de DACA. Entonces, el argumento contra el programa de DACA ha sido que Obama no hizo bien el proceso de empezar ese programa, que en vez de hacer un orden ejecutivo, debería de haber hecho una regulación, una ley para la agencia de UCIS. Entonces, las cortes, los casos que están en las cortes que han amparado el proceso de DACA para casos iniciales, su mayor argumento es de que lo hicieron mal, deben de rehacerlo o deben de cancelar el programa porque no lo hicieron bien. Entonces, hace un año, el presidente Biden decidió responder a ese argumento y empezar el proceso de hacer una regulación para el programa de DACA. Es un proceso muy largo, ha tardado un año y tal vez por eso Obama no lo hizo, pero lo ha hecho y el miércoles fue la etapa final del proceso. Ahora la ley va a empezar finales de octubre, el 31 de octubre, como un regalo de Halloween o algo, no sé. Mientras tanto, el caso en las cortes sigue en proceso y mientras está en proceso, no se va a poder empezar de procesar casos iniciales. Ahora, los abogados que están peleando ese caso en la corte, esta semana entregaron con la corte argumentos diciendo que este caso debe de cerrar porque ya hay una regulación de DACA, entonces el argumento está inválido. Vamos a ver cómo responde la corte, pero más probable ese caso va a llegar a la Corte Suprema para decidir de nuevo. Entonces ha sido como un juego, no sé en español cómo decir, pero de ping pong, y la pelota son los Dreamers. Están jugando con las vidas de los Dreamers, están entre las cortes y el gobierno, están tratando de acabar con el programa de una manera u otra. Entonces, lo que hizo el presidente Biden fue de tratar de poner un programa más fuerte, que sea una ley, de verdad, que sea menos probable que se puede acabar las cortes. Entonces, vamos a ver. Para el momento, todavía no se puede recibir aprobaciones de casos de DACA, casos iniciales, pero estoy recomendando fuertemente que si usted califica para DACA, debe de hacerlo, porque sabemos que tarde o temprano van a abrir una ventana y los casos que ya están adentro van a poder procesar hasta que hay otro movimiento y que se cierre de nuevo. Entonces, recomendamos ya entregarlo. Desde antes pudo entregarlo, solamente que están guardando esos casos y no los están procesando en este momento. Así que recomendamos entregarlo si usted califica. Si no sabe si califica o no, llámanos al 541-653-8899 para poder revisar su situación y puede ver que también califica para otras cosas. Entonces, aprovecha de una vez saber sus opciones. So I just want to come on here and do a quick live about the DACA regulation. I know that there is a lot of confusion about it. Like Isela says, it's very confusing. It's hard to understand. What does it mean? So hopefully this video broke it down for you to be able to understand that, yes, it's a good thing that the regulations were announced. No, we can't quite move forward yet because of the case in Texas. Yvonne says, my daughter's applied since 2021 and hasn't been approved yet. Do you think they'll open it back up to new applications? Your daughter, Yvonne, is in the perfect spot because she's ahead of the game. She's been waiting with her application pending like many of my clients. and they will begin to process them in the order received once the program can begin, which could be as early as October 31st. That's when the regulation takes effect. The program reopens as long as that court case is lifted, which we'll see in the coming weeks ahead. So Yvonne, your daughter did exactly what I've been recommending to people to do for the last year or so since the program closed, is to still file. I have people, clients even who've been waiting before the window closed, and they're at the very head of the line. So your daughter's application should be one of the first ones to get processed, should get processed very quickly once they're able to begin processing those. And again, there's a lot of benefit from having DACA, even though it's not something that automatically leads to a green card. You can use it to reach a green card. So lots and lots of benefits to getting DACA, being able to work legally, being able to study in different places, sometimes even scholarships. I highly recommend that people pursue DACA. It can lead even to being able to, in the future, apply for family members. There's just a long line of things that can get started by filing for DACA. Iván está diciendo que su hija tiene desde 2021 y no ha sido aprobada su DACA. Y eso es porque se cerró el programa de DACA en el verano pasado y no se ha podido aprobar. Pero estos casos siguen en proceso, siguen con UCIs, no se han rechazado estas solicitudes, sino están en espera para cuando se puede abrir de nuevo. Yvonne says, thank you so much. It's so stressful. She's just starting college. I just worry. So many people are stressed and frustrated and waiting for this. It's like people's lives are on hold, waiting to see if they'll be able to get legal status and move forward with their lives. So Yvonne, you're definitely not alone. A lot of people are concerned and worried about this. And thanks for coming on and sharing that story with us. I appreciate it. Hopefully she'll be one of the first ones to get it in the next coming months. So again, just to close out, we don't know when this window of opportunity will happen, but I'm believing it that it will happen soon. I believe that the court case right now, it doesn't have any more basis because their main argument was you guys should have done a regulation. Well, now that there's been a regulation, there's really no more reason to continue to resist the DACA program. It's really just comes down to whether, what is the motivation for resisting this program now? And we're going to see people's true motivation in the next coming months. So thank you all for being with us. Please pass this video for anyone you know that's a dreamer or is pursuing DACA, and so that we can get the word out. There's probably going to be a lot of misinformation, a lot of just misunderstanding because it's confusing stuff. So please give us a call if you have any questions. We do offer a free consultation process, 541-653-8899. Yvonne says thank you. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who's listening, who shares our videos and comments and follows us. So thank you for your support. And we're going to keep doing the work and keep helping dreamers as long as the government participates with us and cooperates with us. So thank you to Yvonne, and thank you for everyone else who's been with us this afternoon. And we will be back with news as soon as we hear it. And we hope that you are all well and in good health. Take care, everyone.